All right, recording has started. Who would like to give the retelling of the previous session? Who would like to bring Echelon up to speed here on exactly what's been happening to his Steam Ganassi?
I'm trying to remember because it was a few weeks ago that we did our last session.
Yeah. Well, so the last one you actually took out... Alright, so you decided to split the party, and the party was split into two missions. One of the missions was to locate the Black Lotus to make a potion to restore the memory of a... what's his name? Uthalor. The Jade Emperor told you where to find the alchemist, and the alchemist needed the Black Lotus in order to make the potion to restore Uthalor's memories to figure out what happened with the stone. The other party went to try and figure out where the stone came from. So...
Cut out.
Oh, sorry. The other party went to figure out where the stone came from. That party went and acquired a Spelljammer from Fractal Risk. And they took that Spelljammer along with the Appraiser that they recruited from the Beastlands back to the Prime World in question. The Appraiser is there to evaluate the world for its monetary value so that proper claims can be made in court. But the travel of the safe travel of the appraisal being guaranteed, you use that opportunity to smuggle a shrunken down Spelljammer onto your Prime World, which you have now set up and is ready to take flight. The space party consists of the gorilla that you guys met in the Beastlands, played by Jake, the druid of trees and weather and dirt, played by Tice, the alchemist, who may or may not be present, the archer, played by Kite, and the Steam Ganassi, played by Echelon. The other party last week was successful in their mission of acquiring the Black Lotus. Party was the Ghost, the Clerk, the Druid of Ghost Panthers, the Druid of Shapeshifting, and the Priestess of Fate. And that party went out and successfully acquired the Black Lotus from the Grey Wastes. That ring any bells?
Yeah.
I think you got all of it.
All right, so tonight...
Except that maybe I might want some of the... my spirit character might want some of the... who just became corporeal. He might want some of that memory potion.
You might.
As well as Uthalor.
I also left out a lot of the details on how you acquired the Black Lotus.
Oh, yeah, well, we did have to go see... we had to go up Mount Olympus and see Zeus. That was fun.
He was actually at the base of the mountain, taking care of his father, but yes.
Oh, well, yeah, it was hard to get there. Anyhow.
Yeah, we had to convince a bunch of people to go to an orgy so we can go along the river Oceanus to get to the base of Mount Olympus. We were very successful in convincing people to go to an orgy.
Yeah, on a boat ride.
You also succeeded in not getting drawn into it yourselves.
Did anyone really want to... oh, never mind.
The Bacchanalian feasts are open to all. It's leaving it that's difficult. Alright then, so this is the other party. This party, as far as you guys are concerned, your goal is simple. At some point, a rock fell from the sky, and it struck a god on your world, killing the god and leaving its body, and then buried itself in the ground. To figure out where the rock is buried in the ground, you guys took measurements of the god.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, you cut out again.
To figure out where the rock hit the ground, you guys took measurements of the god, and so you knew one point of the rock's trajectory, and now what you need to do is figure out where in the sky it came from. Your scholar has provided a map of the stars and has pointed out a set of 3 stars that seem to occasionally flare in a specific direction at a specific point in space. And so she wants you guys to examine that point in space, figure out why the stars are flaring, and see if that has something to do with the rock.
Yeah. And the rock seems to be connected to some young girl or something.
You did have a vision of a girl being fed a potion by a group of adults, and then spirits escaping her body. Yes. What you know for sure is that at some point in your world's history, the rock fell from the sky, killed the god as it fell, and buried itself in the ground. And what you're trying to figure out is where it buried itself.
Yes.
All right. So the various devils in the Zoo look on in amusement as the monkey unpacks his equipment for evaluating the planet. And you guys have unpacked a boat.
And you cut out again.
You guys have unpacked a boat.
All right.
Like it looks like a boat?
They have a spelljammer? A pocket spelljammer?
Yeah, someone has it in their pocket.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is it's been shrunk down to fit into a pocket, but it absolutely looks like a boat, and you guys have a scroll that will make it full size.
Got it.
I don't think I have the spelljammer galleon.
This looks more like a skiff. This is like a small little thing. Definitely not meant for hauling cargo over long voyages.
But definitely used for to be able to boldly go where no person has gone before.
As far as we know.
I mean, it's impossible as far as I know.
I look at it and I shrug and I say, "Yeah, you could have got us. You could have got us one of the fancy ships."
They almost died hilariously getting this, not because there was anything dangerous, but because they were just curious what was behind a door.
Yeah, that was my bad. I almost went to the place where air dies, so we would have all suffocated to death.
Yeah, luckily I pointed that out.
That's a classic.
Thanks for that.
That is a classic. Okay, so basically you're going to need to set this up sort of in a lake or a body of water. There is a slow-moving river that passes through the capital that people get their fresh water from. So you guys take it over there and inflate it, basically. The boat drops into the water. And it really does just look like a boat. It has masts. The sails are not up yet. But yeah, it looks kind of like that schooner. That's basically what it looks like. Once inflated, a plank comes out the side and comes down, and you have like a way to get up. You do notice that the half of the plank that's kind of stuck out right now is coated in a strange white paint. Do any of the planers in the group have any experience with spelljamming?
I know that it exists. I think it's kind of a crazy way to travel. I think most conveyances are crazy ways to travel. I mean, portals are just more efficient, you know. And it's only really useful for traveling around in the inner planes or in the prime, you know, between crystal spheres and stuff like that, which all seems a bit bizarre and crazy. I mean, I understand that the distances between crystal spheres is quite big, but it's finite, right? So, I mean, how big can it be, right? I do view it as a fancy way of traveling. It's super fancy.
And this one does look a little bit fancy. It's not fancy in the like exotic sense, but in like, you know, it's all the brass is well polished. The ropes have fun little tassels and things. Like, this could have been an ambassador's ship.
It's not fancy like the Battle Dolphin's fancy, though. That's the thing.
No, it's not fancy like a battle dolphin. This is not like an elven crazy butterfly ship or anything.
I just shrug and say, well, at least it's not a gnomish ship.
So true. No hamsters to be seen.
No hamsters.
Nautical tradition is that you need permission from the captain in order to board the ship. But there is no captain unless one of you guys declares yourself captain. So what are you going to do? Literally, what are you going to do? I'm asking.
Well, I know nothing of boats. I've been a gorilla for so long in a jungle.
As a gorilla, you're quite pleased to see there's lots of climbing rope all over the ship.
That's going to be fun. I can help you guys. I don't know.
I shrug and I say, if you don't know anything about boats, you'll feel right at home on this thing.
What is spell jamming?
It's like a boat, but mostly it flies. We happen to have one of the ones that can actually land in water, which is convenient given that we have water.
Yeah, I know it's going to take us into space, but I'm wondering, like, how? Is it just magic?
Well, we need someone has to fly it. So we need a helmsman, and that's not me.
Yeah, it's not going to be me either.
Depends on what kind of helmet it has, but my understanding is that most of them need some kind of a magic type. Doesn't have to be powerful magic. Powerful magic is better. You can get it to go faster, have better control. But if all you got is finger paint.
Standing here on what's not exactly a dock, just kind of the side of this waterway that is taking the city's drinking water from one side and their sewage out the other. You are starting to gather a bit of a crowd of Imperials. You also hear in the distance one of the devils asking the monkey if the boat is strictly necessary for his evaluation. it might be a good time to leave.
I do have druidic magic if that can help.
I don't think it really cares what kind of magic you have. It just needs someone to do the piloting. That's my understanding. Usually there's some sort of there's like a big chair called the helm, and the helmsman sits in the helm, and then the helmsman flies the ship. I understand that there are good helmsmen and bad helmsmen. I expect that we will be bad helmsmen, but how hard can it be? You're just flying a ship. An actual ship. I guess just tell it to tell.
Did anyone want to actually board the ship?
Sure. The Terra will.
All right. Walking up the plank, it creaks a little bit under your feet. It's definitely made of wood, and you step upon the main deck. There is 2 openings here. One of them is a pair of double doors in the floor, which look like they can be pulled upward into possibly a cargo container. And then the other is basically just a small set of stairs that go down to a door. The area above the door is sort of a nice little canopy, and above that there's more rigging, ropes, and another mast.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll head down the stairs to the other door, not the double doors.
The door down the stairs is a very nice looking door, polished brass handle. It opens easily, although there is a locking mechanism on the other side of it, but it's not currently locked. And inside you see a snug cabin. Immediately in one corner you see a ladder heading down, and then the rest of the cabin looks to be basically like nice furniture. There's a nice desk, some chairs. There's nice furniture, a desk, chairs, lush red carpeting, and in the back there is what looks like a throne with a silk pointy hat resting on it. There is rope running from the hat into the wall behind the throne.
Well, I guess that's the big thing that he was talking about. I guess Taro will go over there and examine it as he sits down. Like, well, I guess it's time to see if I can actually do this. And he puts the hat on. I hope other people are getting on the ship.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
wanna
followed
follow
you.
along.
I followed you.
Just waiting for
Okay.
someone to go on it first.
I reluctantly get on the ship.
Does anyone want to explore anywhere else while Tice is trying on the hat?
I mean, everything was open except for that down room. Like there wasn't anything else to go into other than that, like.
There's a ladder going down from the cabin, and there's a double door on the main deck, which also goes down.
So there's a door down a stairway, and then there's also like a double door on the same level.
There's a double door on the main deck that leads down. It's in the floor, like a cargo loading door. And then there's a small, like 3 steps down into an area under an overhang where there's a door, and this door is in the wall. It's the door into the cabin.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go in the storage area. I'm curious. Or the double door.
Opening the double doors to the storage area, you see a fairly long drop, not like maybe like 10 feet, and there's a soft purple glow coming from this room.
Well,
the bottom appears to be empty. There's an apparatus next to the door for a like rope and hook with a crank to haul things up.
Okay, but so you can see down into it. but can't see anything. That's
Light
weird.
from the noonday sun shows what appears to be an empty floor to the boat. There's a purple light coming from this room, from somewhere around the outside edges of it. And yeah, there's some shapes up against the wall. It's hard to make them out. You'll probably have to go in and get a closer look.
Okay, you said there was a mechanism to is it like a platform that moves, or is it just like a rope hooked to some pulley?
It's a rope hooked to a pulley that is itself on a pivot. So you can swing the rope out over the thing, pull things up, and then swing it away again.
Oh, I see. So someone would have to operate that to get down.
Yep.
Winston the gorilla shows up because he got bored of Tice's character.
Hello, Winston.
What's all this about?
So I guess I'll ask Winston. Can you operate that thing and lower me down into this thing? I'm curious.
Well, surely, with my gorilla strength, I could easily do that.
As he turns the crank and lowers you down, you stand on the hook, gripping the rope, and are lowered into the room. What you see on the walls around you is a glowing purple stripe, the color of fairy fire. It is not a thick stripe, maybe the thickness of a man's hand, but it's in a perfect level going all the way around the outside of the room. You're lowered down past the stripe and onto the bottom, where finally your eyes adjust and you can see that the walls of the ship, which are curved because it is a boat, but the walls are lined with brooms. The brooms appear to be tied to the walls by silver threads, and the threads then run along the walls towards the back of the ship. Tice, you put on the hat, and for a moment your vision kind of gets blurry, and then you start to realize that the hat is meant to be pulled all the way over your eyes. And so you do so, and suddenly you are no longer sensing with your eyes. You're feeling the shape of the water around you, the shape of the air around you, and you sense that you are the ship. Do you have the sailing skill?
I do not have the sailing skill currently.
All right. You may make an unskilled sailing plus willpower roll, or at a higher difficulty, you may try to reason your way through this with scholarship.
Yeah, you cut it again.
Intentionally, what did I cut out at?
Sailing plus.
Sailing
I
plus
guess
willpower,
Focus.
or at a higher difficulty, you may do, sailing plus focus, sorry. Or at a higher difficulty, you can do scholarship instead of sailing to try and figure out what the hell's going on. As a third option, you can try and just blast magical energy through the hat. Or you can make up something else.
I may have to go with the first one because it seems like we haven't rested in a while. So sailing plus focus.
Yeah, we've been pretty much go, go, go.
So I've seen that he's getting in the chair and putting the hat on. And so I'm going to find something sturdy, and I'm going to tie myself to it.
Good plan. And that's coming from the man who can become steam.
Just a quick question. Is like most of the ship made out of wood?
Most of it, yes. There's some brass pieces here and there. You see maybe some iron reinforcements in places. But a lot of the metal, especially the iron, has been hidden behind tapestries and things to try and make it look nice.
Okay, because I was wondering, because if it's part of trees, I was gonna. Yeah, that's okay.
I'm gonna go get in the room that Tice was first in.
You're just going to leave leave him
Okay, so I'm
dangling?
stuck in the storage room. That's
So
So
fine.
what
this
was the
should
result
be
of your roll,
interesting.
Tice?
I haven't rolled my 1 dice yet.
Oh, do we have bot back?
I got 1 success.
All right, while you're waiting then, Troy, did you want to do anything in the room with all the brooms? Which you're now noticing has some shapes on the ceiling.
Wait, I got confused there. There are some shapes on the ceiling, or the brooms are doing?
The brooms are on the wall.
Brooms are on the wall, and there's also shapes on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Okay, I assume I don't recognize any of the shapes.
The shapes appear to be bundles of things tied together with rope that are hanging, and they seem to be hanging just at the that purple line. So they're completely in line with that purple stripe that's going around the outside of the room.
And I can't tell what there's just a bundle. They're hanging, or like like just floating, or hanging
Hanging,
from?
like there's thick ropes that there have tied these bundles so that they hang from the ceiling just a little bit down. They're just like a couple feet down from the ceiling. They're hanging there, and that's perfectly in line with where that purple line is. You want to climb up to one and check it out?
Yeah. Is it possible? Like, I know I'm below. I don't know how far down I'm in, because you said it was like 10 feet.
If your monkey friend helps you, but it looks like he went inside.
Yeah, so I think I'm stuck where I am. I can climb the rope, I guess, and try
Sure.
to
Try to make
swing
a
it.
jump over to one.
Yeah.
Acrobatics for sure.
Acrobatics for that.
The daring young man on the flying trapeze.
One success.
All right. You stumble and lose your grip for a moment. You're falling through the air. We're going to cut back to Tice here. Tice, what are you doing?
I got 1 success on that on my focus sailing roll.
Nice. The whole ship lurches upward slightly as your vision expands to encompass the area around you. You start to feel the parts of the ship as though they're parts of your own limbs, your arms and legs. The sails, the wood, it all feels like it's part of you. And you appear to be rising. Everyone else, you notice that the ship is moving upward, except for Troy. Troy, you're falling downward towards the bottom of the ship when suddenly you're not, and you're pulled back up again. And you sort of crash with your back up against the bundle.
You suddenly stopped.
When you said Troy was falling downward,
Troy was falling downward, and then suddenly he was falling upward, being pulled back towards the ceiling. And you come to a crash with your back against the bundle of boxes tied together with rope that you had been trying to cling to. You're being pulled as though gravity is now pulling you up.
Okay, so I'm falling toward the ceiling.
You fell towards the ceiling and landed on the bundle of boxes that's hanging from the ceiling. The boxes kind of sway on what you might think of as under you, but you've been so recently thinking of it as above you.
Got it, but they're not actually moving. They're still kind of where they are. They're moving a little bit.
They moved a little bit, but yeah. They shifted, but they're sort of bouncing back to their original position.
Okay, if I landed into it, can I just try to hold on to it at this point in time?
Okay. You're holding on to them. Ed, you're also perfectly fine because you tied yourself down. Everybody else, you're sort of just knocked to the ground by the sudden upward movement of the ship. But once you steady yourself, it's actually a lot less rocky than normal boats. It has some swaying to it, but that swaying seems to be the outside world swaying, not you swaying. This is going to make you a little bit motion sick in a bit, but for the moment, the novelty of it is quite startling.
Does it feel smooth enough to untie myself and move around?
Yes.
All right, I do so.
Whoa, this feels interesting. I guess we've taken off.
Tice, you are a boat now. What would you like to do? You're a flying boat.
I guess I want to head up to the stars to where we're supposed to be going. I feel like as being a boat made of wood, I might be a bit more attuned because I'm used to putting my might be a bit man-made, but I feel like I'm like a well-crafted tree. But yeah, I'm going to be going towards the strange area that we're supposed to be going to. My mind's on that.
All right. Are you going to try and push some of your magic into the wood to take control of it?
I do not have that much magic right now since I'm still burnt out from talking to the world tree.
It's up to you. So you slowly are starting to rise. Very, very slowly.
Because I could sink in some stamina into it, but that's the closest I can right now.
I just say
yeah.
you focus on getting us up, and I will see if anyone understands how to maneuver one of these things. And I start heading up to the deck, and I look at our monkey friend and say, "You don't happen to know how to use rigging?"
Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
Okay. Not really, but
Well, I'm sure you're a good climber. Let's go up. Let's go up at the top deck.
sure. I'm definitely a good climber. I'll follow you.
I head up
You
to the
do
top deck and start looking around the sails and the lines, which I know nothing about, in an attempt to help us maneuver. I'm also going to look for weapons if the ship is armed. We just took off, and I assume that people are startled.
The Imperials are startled. The demons are not. They knew what it was when they saw it. But yeah, you're gently drifting about 100 feet above the lower platform of the city that you were on. Many of the city's towers are still higher up in the air than you guys, but you're sort of slowly drifting out away from the city towards the mountains. This city was kind of in the center of a mountain range, so there's mountains all around. Getting your bearings might be a little difficult, although you do have the map that was provided by the scholar. This map is mostly a celestial map. It's a map of where the stars are. But it has reference points for the world. When examining the riggings, you guys notice that the riggings appear to have the ropes coiled into some kind of automated system controlled by the boat itself.
Oh my. This looks intricate.
Closer examination of the sails reveals that they're
You
not.
cut out.
Closer examination of the sails reveals that they are not normal sails, but in fact appear to be Persian flying carpets that have been sewn together. You recognize the patterns from the many flying carpets that had been flying about the city.
Flying carpets sewn together. Is that how this thing flies? That sounds interesting.
That and all the brooms in the bottom of it.
Witches' brooms.
Almost 100 of them, lining the inside walls of the ship.
I thought those were merely myth.
Currently, you're seeing them in action. Troy is seeing them much up close than the rest of you.
Yeah, if I can hear them up top, I'm gonna shout for someone to operate the crane.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot. Whoops. I jumped back down to the crane.
All right, so you're
Sorry.
in control of the rope, but he's not on the rope anymore. He's clinging to some boxes that are tied together with rope that are just sort of floating right now in the space there, tethered to the ceiling by another rope.
Hey, are you still there? Sorry, I forgot about you.
Hanging in there. So how far above the ground am I at the moment?
Do the math. So you're about 20 feet above the bottom of the boat.
You cut out again.
You're about
You
like
cut out right before
20-ish,
you said that.
like 20 feet.
Okay, that's pretty far.
Can you see the rope?
Oh, he can definitely see the rope. He's just
I'm
a bit
assuming
over,
I'm far
yeah.
away from it at this point.
Yeah, can I swing the rope towards you so that you can grab it?
Indeed, you can. Looking at the rope, you notice that the rope no longer goes all the way to the bottom.
So I'll operate the thing to lower it.
As you lower it in, the rope just starts coiling in the middle of the air.
Oh, okay.
You notice that perfectly in line with that purple line, the rope that he's lowering is just kind of floating there.
Oh shit. There's
Am I on the
force field?
So am I on the bottom of the box?
Yep,
Okay, can I climb up it?
indeed. And as you
So I'm
do,
on the side of it.
as you cross that middle line where the purple symbol or the purple line is, gravity flips, and it starts pulling you down now instead of up.
Okay, how far away am I from the ceiling? Is it also 20 feet?
No, actually, the ceiling's really close. It's like 5 feet away.
Okay, I'm just gonna. I'm assuming I'm gonna let go and just kind of drop toward the ceiling, which is my floor now.
No, it's not. The ceiling's the ceiling now. Now that you're above the line,
You cut out.
Yeah, sorry, what'd you say?
the ceiling is the ceiling now that you're above the line.
Yeah, you're actually you're on my orientation now. So I can just reach down and grab you if it's only 5 feet. Come to me.
Okay, I think I got lost on there, but I get it now. So yeah, I'll just, if I can just reach up then. I should be, I'm assuming I was falling. Oh, I get it.
You were falling up. You were
Okay,
falling
so now I'm
up, and
standing
you're
on
not
top of the
anymore.
box.
I look down to the hold. I look
Got it.
at what's happening, and I say, "Stop screwing around. Stop. Just swim over here, and then we got to get these rigging things." I shake my head and lemons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back now. Now that I saved him, we're gonna go back and help the rigging.
All right, Troy. So eventually, you figure out that, of course, the gravity line is a point you'll be pulled to. So you'll never actually fall towards the floor or towards the ceiling. You'll always fall towards the middle of the ship. This central gravity line, this plane of everything pulls towards it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, with a simple jump over there, you can grab a hold of the rope and pull yourself up.
Yeah, I do that.
I say, so there's gravity water inside the ship, and I look around in the hold, and do I see the bunch of flying carpets and?
You see the flying carpets are currently set up as the sails. There's brooms in the underbelly of the ship as the primary supports. All of them have silver thread running towards the back of the ship where the throne is.
I say, huh, maybe it was built by gnomes. And then I head back up to the surface.
What's your deal with gnomes?
If you're ever flying a spelljammer and gnomes are around, if it's a gnomish ship, just wait for the next ship.
Okay, good to know, I guess.
Unless you really like hamsters and explosions.
Fortunately, you see no hamsters around.
So as I understand it, the rigging is still useful. There's no wind in space, but you still have to use the sails to sail. It doesn't make any sense, especially if you don't think about it too much.
Maybe it's picking up like radiation and like powering the ship or something.
Yeah, that would make sense, but they're really only used for maneuvering. The going forward, backward, up, down, most of the general directional stuff is the wizard guy down there who is apparently commanding a whole bunch of brooms or something, which is just insane. So we'll just focus
and
on
magic carpets.
So we just got to focus on turning if we need to turn or dodging towers and rocks. Not so good at going side to side.
I see there. Then let's get this going.
Tice, you're starting to get a feel for just normal maneuvering, but you definitely feel like the ship could do more. So it's like you're steering with the rudders only when there are sails available.
You cut out.
It's like you're steering with the rudders only when there are sails available.
I see. I could attempt to push it further.
All right, are you going to tap into your magic abilities?
Sadly, no, I cannot currently because my current effective potential is 0.
Okay, so you up and up you guys go, slowly and steadily. Eventually, you're just sort of floating up in the sky. There's a lot of distance below you and a lot of distance above. You rise up after a couple hours. You get up above the clouds, but yeah, your potential being taxed. This is exhausting. The ship is moving just way too slow.
Are we doing something wrong, you think? I say to people around me.
I mean, we're going up, so I guess we're doing it right. If someone with more magical oomph sat in the chair, we might be able to go up faster. but I would recommend against anyone swapping places in the chair while we're in the air.
Well, I have no magical oomph,
Excellent.
so
Neither do I. So we'll leave this to the professionals.
It
Not
might
even
be a
that
good
idea.
idea, though, to let him take a nap and start recovering some of his ability.
I mean, do we need to go land somewhere then? We're like, we're just in the sky at this point, essentially.
perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps this is too draining on our captain. Maybe we should find him and tell him to take a break or something.
We should
Tice, do you want to take a break?
I say we should probably get into orbit before the helmsman decides to take a break.
That's probably a good idea. We should get
Or we could
out
practice.
of.
Or we could practice landing. That'll be exciting.
Okay, so I'll keep on going until we can get into somewhere where the gravity isn't pulling us down.
Out of the gravity well would be nice.
Currently, Tice, you have no sense of gravity. You only sense space. There's clouds around you. You know kind of where they are. You know what direction the ground is in. You can feel it below you at an ever-increasing distance as you gently float upward. The horizon remains bright blue, but the sky above is starting to darken.
Well, I can't currently tell exactly how far, if we're still within gravity or not. I need someone to keep an eye out on for me.
Yeah, I'll continue my mission to head towards where the captain is.
Does anyone here have any points in sailing?
Any
What?
what?
Does anyone have any points in sailing?
Nope.
No, I have 0.
Got lots of swimming experience, but no.
Yeah, sadly, I think the only person that had sailing got splattered by the pit lord.
Ah, poor Jacques.
I put my hands up in like a giving up gesture and say, how hard can it be, right? I mean, there's only 1,000 ropes.
It's a finite distance. You'll get there eventually.
Well, I was going to say about the resting bit, as long as we aim ourselves in the right direction, and don't hit anything, then he can take a rest, because we're just going to remain in motion.
Tice, do you want to take off the hood and take a rest? Or do you want to continue upward?
Because I do not know if me pulling off this helmet might cause it just to free fall back down to and landing. I'm just gonna sort of like use my resolve and just keep on pushing.
Okay. Go ahead and take a tax to whatever makes sense to you. This is a mental stress.
Okay, I'll take some composure damage.
You're just starting to feel mentally exhausted from pushing really hard without having your primary source of good sauce ready to magically enhance you.
You cut out.
Yeah, he's out of magic, so yeah, you're basically exhausted. Yeah, so it's gonna continue to stress you to keep pushing.
You can always land us in the water and take a rest. I mean, if you want to test what happens when you take the thing off, just bring us down, like a couple feet off the water, and then take it off. You know, just. Do we have anyone else that can fly it?
I don't think
Anyone
so.
else with magic?
I don't think we have anybody with magic except for.
I mean, I can try it. I'm a
You're kind of partially
Magical
made of
being.
magic.
yeah, I guess.
I turned into a gorilla in the Beastlands. Does that make me magical, I assume? Not very much.
I mean, it's either all magic or none of it is, right?
Um, I'll do my best to keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've taken your tax, and the sky continues to darken as you keep pushing up, to the point where it's now nearly nighttime black above you, but they still have the bright blue daytime horizon.
Cut out after nighttime.
You still have the bright blue daytime horizon. In the black sky directly above, you are starting to see the stars appear.
Anyone know where we're going? I cannot.
The scholar did give you guys a star chart, showing you exactly
Yeah,
which stars to examine.
Who has that map?
Let's just say the Ganassi has it.
He is more trustworthy with paperwork.
I mean, I have recorded all of this, but I know some things about this whole Spelljammer thing. But I'm pretty sure I can't fly it. I'm pretty sure that that the druid friend is the only one that can. I do know a lot about matter, though. I know a lot about that. Like I'm made of it. I'm made of it more than you guys are made of it, and that's pretty impressive, I think. And I do know a significant amount about gravity, so I really think we can either get we can either get where we're going or just land us somewhere where it's out of the way. We're not going to be attacked by whatever sort of weird creatures you have on this crazy place, and take a break. Have a day at sea.
I think at this point he's striving on and just heading into space, taxing himself along the way.
I mean, we can have a
We
day,
might
a day in
crash,
space.
but we might crash and die.
Tice, do you want to take a break, or do you want to tax yourself a second time?
I can start. I still have 2 stamina left. I can burn through that.
Okay. So you tax yourself and begin to rise. The ground below you begins to look less like a flat surface and more like a sphere. And the plank that you guys never pulled up, because none of you are familiar with sailing, the tip of it begins glowing a blue. There's little sparks coming off of the end. About halfway down, the paint has stopped being white and become blue up to the end of the plank.
Do you guys see that sparking on the side of the ship?
The sparking is exactly at the border between the white and the blue paint. White paint on your side and blue somewhere outside the ship.
Is there a mechanism to pull that plank back up?
Yes, there is. It's called a pair of hands that grab the plank and pull it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm assuming this is gonna hurt.
As you pull the plank in, it's as though the sparking is from like some kind of surface outside the ship, and pulling the plank in, the blue retreats until it's all white again as you bring it in, and the sparks are always staying the same distance from the ship as you pull the plank in. When it's in past the sparks, that's when it's all white, and the sparking stops.
Don't know what I did, but I think I did a good thing. I said that out loud.
I say, well, we're not dead, so.
Well, the sparking.
And then I record that in my notebook.
The sparking stopped.
Okay, so we have, while they're working on that, we have a star chart. I guess I'll take a look at it and see if I can make any sense of it, like looking at it and looking up.
Sure. So yeah, looking at it and looking up, you find that there are stars all about in various patterns, and you're starting to see the patterns that you're at. You can see up in the sky that's the sun. You've never been up this high before. You've never seen without so much atmosphere in the way. But here you can see the thread that ties the sun to the top of the sky. The sort of tether that keeps it on its path.
There's like a line holding the sun in.
Yep. Visible mostly by reflected starlight. When you're under the sun's own light overwhelms it. But there is, now that you're outside of the atmosphere, there's visibly a thread that is attaching the sun to a point in the sky. It's actually two. One that's attaching it to the north end of the sky and one that's attaching it to the south end of the sky. And it's spinning around the planet, tethered by these threads. Beyond the sun is the black edge of the sky upon which the stars are etched. And there is a trinity of 3 of these stars that she has marked. You managed to eventually find them. And yeah, you can instruct Tice as best you can to try and navigate there. If Tice doesn't take a break soon, though, he's going to collapse into unconsciousness because he's not going to be able to pay the taxes anymore.
Yeah, I can't tell if we're at a place where he can take a break, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. On a scale of 1 to 10, how screwed are we?
yeah, would you understand where we are at the moment?
No, I grew up in the elemental plane of water. It's literally just water. All of it. Everything is just water. Everywhere, in an infinite distance, all around. I have no idea what space is supposed to be like. This is your plane.
I mean, so far this is more like water than my experiences in the like storage hold were more like water than like
yeah,
land.
that's fair. Well, we can hope that space is like water, and we're buoyant. I'm hoping that right now.
I mean, we can always test. He could take the hat off and put it on really fast.
Well, the truth of the matter
Maybe.
right now is that we're past the point of no return. I don't think he has enough oomph to get us back to the ground safely, so we might as well just keep going and hope for the best.
I'm back.
I mean, unless he passes out.
If he passes out, he passes out. I turn to Steam, and it was nice knowing you guys. Otherwise, it seems like the only way to go is just keep going up until he passes out, and then
I think
hopefully that's enough.
I think the Beastland's magic of turning me into a gorilla is enough to give us that extra oomph.
I mean, this guy already said though, like if he takes that hat off, we could have a problem. Or we could not. I think we just have him take the hat off.
I think the safest strategy is that we continue to go up until he passes out, and then the monkey takes the hat off if we're falling and tries to make us not die.
Oh, okay, I get it now. I like this plan.
And also, I'm gonna hold his hand and like hope he can like maybe absorb some magic from me. Maybe, I don't know. Is that
Standing
not a
next to
thing?
him, holding his hand, you do notice there's some kind of device behind the throne.
Sorry, a device where?
Behind the throne. You don't know what it does, but it's a cylinder. It seems to have some kind of spinny thing inside it that's not really spinning much right now. And there is a bottle of juice next to it that's attached to it in some fashion. The bottle's about half full. You don't know what kind of juice it is, but as a gorilla, it might be tasty.
I'm gonna ask other people like, hey, you want to come inspect this with me? This looks interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go inspect. I don't know.
The bottle that has a liquid chemical in it has markings. The markings appear to be amounts of time, basically. Right now, there's enough liquid in there to reach what they called it, or what's marked as an 8-hour mark.
A power.
8. Bigger
Eight
than
power.
7, less than 9.
Got it.
So whatever it is, there's 8 hours.
However, there's enough space for you to fill it up to 16 hours, if you wish. But you need to find more of whatever that liquid is.
Knowing a thing or two about liquid, do I have any idea of this liquid is?
It's since you've traveled the planes, like the elemental planes, right? You've been to ooze and maybe fire as well.
Ooze and fire, yeah.
This seems like fuel. It's a combustible chemical.
All right. Is there a way to turn it on? Like, do I have a reasonable way of like activating it?
There is some kind of a mechanism. It looks very similar to things you've seen in air that were meant to detect the presence or absence of gravity. It looks like it's hooked into what might be an on switch, but you'd have to dismantle it to use the on switch manually. You can make a scholarship check to try and, or an investigation check to try and figure out what the device is.
All right. Scholarship perception or cunning?
Oh, definitely cunning. It's easy to see what the elements are. It's hard to decipher their purpose.
Oh, 2 successes.
It's pretty clear that this is a system designed to activate if it detects that the ship is in freefall. The gravity detector will turn on the device if the ship enters just absolute freefall, and make it do whatever it is it does.
All right. Well, I say I believe that this device will save us if when at such time that the druid passes
For 8 hours.
for 8 hours. My certainty on this is of a level in which I'm willing to say that I'm pretty sure that's what it does, but not willing to say that we should give the guy a rest and that we should probably just continue until he passes.
Tice, it's your choice. Rest or continue. If you continue, tax yourself a point.
Do we think we can make it in the 8 hours?
Not at
No.
your current speed.
Well, I gotta put every ounce I can into this before I go out, but I think I can get us at least a part of the way there.
The question is, does going unconscious allow you to rest?
Well, if he gets us at the right speed, maybe we can, but he has to roll for it and he might fail. I'm assuming.
I say, well, being the one that can turn into steam, I'm willing to let you guys roll the dice on this. On the one hand, if it can keep us up, then we'll have 8 hours for our druid to rest and get recover a bit of power, and maybe he can get us moving at a faster speed, or worst case, have enough strength to sit us down safe.
Well, or worst case, roll badly, and he's gonna like not have enough strength, and the 8 hours isn't gonna be enough, and we're just gonna die. Or can we just steer it ourselves during the 8 hours?
Well, he started off with nothing, so by the time he wakes up after 8 hours rest, he'll have at least what he started with, which was nothing. And then that should be enough to get us back to the ground.
All right, then I don't know.
When it comes down to it, it's on Tice. Do you want to stop? Or do you want to keep going until you pass out?
It's up to you.
The longer I stay awake and push us forward, the more time the fuel can be conserved.
Yes, though purely mechanically, the less you exhaust not even purely mechanically, in game, the less you exhaust yourself, the more you're likely to recover.
Because when you spend endurance, you have to spend at a 5-to-1 ratio, but when you get endurance back from resting, you get it back at 1-to-1.
Okay. I guess I'll take that rest. I guess I still haven't recovered from the talking with the world tree. I guess I'll take it off.
All right, you take off the hood. Everyone's stomachs kind of sink a little as you see the horizon visibly rise a little bit. And then there's a whir and a hum as the device starts spinning, electricity dancing inside of it. Light shoots out of it through several silver threads that run into the floor. Anyone near the hall or the storage area sees all of the brooms start to glow with light, and the ship comes to a rest, paralyzed in the sky.
I let out a deep breath and I say, well, we're not dead for another 8 hours.
Interestingly, it was just the brooms that activated, not the carpets. Tice, I presume you're going to just like crash on one of the couches?
Yeah, and I was just like maybe searching the cabin and stuff for see if there's any more of that fuel just in case.
Actually, in the cabin of the ship, although it wasn't noticeable when before you were flying, but now that you guys are airborne, what you might think of as the bottom of the boat, because it's upside down, there are hammocks hanging from it. They just kind of fell upward when everything went nuts. So you could go sleep in one of the hammocks at the bottom of the boat.
Which you should.
Yeah.
It's quite peaceful, and as an added bonus, you can see that the brooms are active. And so if they stop being active, you'll know immediately. All right. While he's resting, what would the rest of you guys like to do? Oh, and Tice, you can recover 4 attacks.
Is there anywhere else to explore on the boat?
There are all of the boxes that are tied up in the storage area.
Yeah, I'm thinking we want to look for fuel or something just through the boxes.
All right, I'll operate the like wheel to like send people down.
I think
Actually,
this is easy now, right?
The ladder in the main hall also goes down there. And it's much easier because when you get to the turnaround, you just turn around and you climb up the rest of the way on the ladder. But yes, it's also easy. You can just float through the middle of it.
Can a gorilla fit in the ladder?
Actually, no. You'd have trouble with the ladder. Yeah. It's kind of a cramped space.
Okay, so I do have to go down the other way.
Yep. But when you're
But at
in the
least you
middle,
can
you
just
just kind of
leave the rope.
float.
Yeah, I assume it doesn't have to be operated now. Just lower the rope into the, or it is still lowered into the middle, and then just climb down into the middle, and you'll stay in the middle.
Yeah, it's only 10 feet down, right? Or something like that.
It looks like the rope tying the boxes together is basically meant to make sure that they don't just like bounce and scatter around, and that when the ship is not under magical gravity manipulation, that the stuff doesn't like fall and crash and break. So the boxes are just kind of gathered together as a way to keep them stable. Of course, with the gravity currently in full operation, you could begin untying them and checking them out.
Oh, would they not just like fall down?
No, everything
would I
stays
get-
in the middle.
Oh, really?
It's like the water line, really. If you're on a ship, the ship
I
sits
see
at a
what you're
certain
saying.
level in the
Yeah.
water. If you jump into the water, you'll bob up and down.
Oh, yeah, because that's like the gravity middle of the ship. That's what you were saying, right?
Yep.
Well, I guess I could jump down there and start inspecting some of those boxes.
Would you like to look at a large box, a medium box, or a small box?
I'm going to go with medium.
Okay. You open up a medium box, and you see a lantern, not lit. This appears to be a specially designed lantern, which has multiple doors and like security layers to get at the candle. It would be fed by some kind of flammable liquid, but that liquid would be like secured inside several, looks like almost airtight compartments held within glass.
This is the craziest lantern I've ever seen. I wonder what it does.
Echelon, is your character familiar with Flojitsun and its properties?
Probably not.
Okay.
I come into the room and I sit down. I pull out a pad and I write the words. The monkey has picked up a device that appears to be some sort of a fire-making device, and then I look up and watch for the next scene.
Troy, what were you going to look for?
I assume I just grabbed one of the boxes. He didn't. So what did he grab? The middle?
He grabbed a medium-sized box. There are other medium-sized boxes. There are also small boxes and large boxes.
I did pick medium, but yeah, there are more mediums.
Dude, how big was that canister that was on the back of the chair? Would it fit inside a small box?
It would be in a small box, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna open just a small box.
Okay. Yeah, you open a small box and you find some spare, some spare oil.
It looks like the same stuff?
Looks like the exact same stuff. It looks like a full jar with maybe 16 hours in it. But there's lots of other small boxes to explore as well. After a couple hours of searching, you found in total 4 jars of that material. You've also found plenty of water and plenty of a different kind of oil that looks more like normal lamp oil and less like this weird orangey juice.
Maybe that lamp oil has something to do with that weird thing I found.
Almost certainly, yeah. In the medium-sized boxes, you also find 3 helmets. And in 2 large boxes, you find full-body environment suits. They're like diver suits. It's interesting that there's only 2 suits where there's 3 helmets. But the helmets do fit perfectly onto the suits.
These like average person size suits?
Yes, the monkey would not be able to wear.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
I want to try one on.
There's an extra helmet for me at least, so I can like slowly drown.
I don't know if drowning would be the thing.
You also find a bundle of sticks that are painted with that same white paint that was on the board, and another group of sticks that appear to just glow for no reason.
There's a lot of stuff in here.
What are those glowing sticks? I'm gonna grab one.
The glow is very soft, but it's definitely there. You would not think of this as a light source, but you might think of it as an indicator. Like the glowing has meaning and it'll stop glowing when that meaning changes.
I think I might hold on to this. Put it in one of my pockets.
Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say tie one off on the straps of my clothes or whatever, so I can have it.
Very good. So everyone ties one of the glowing indicator sticks to them, I suppose. And yeah. As the hours pass, the fuel in whatever it is that's keeping the brooms running starts to run down. Do you want to pour more fuel in and give your wizard some more time, or do you want to wake him up?
Does the mechanism look like it can actually support adding to it while it's being used?
Yeah, the jar that just has an opening at the top. You can just pour straight into it.
Okay. I assume either way we should probably fill this up. So I'll do that, and then I'll leave it to, like, should we wake him up? How
Okay.
much time has passed?
8 hours have passed, but you've used one of your 4 jars. You've got 3 remaining, and you filled it up to the brim. So 16 hours are currently on the clock.
Okay, so just discussing with the other two, like, he's had some time, like, that's probably enough. Worst case is he ends up passing out again, and we got 3 more of these.
Yeah, I feel like we should conserve these as much as we can. But we should also give him a good rest. So
I agree.
So
Give
he's
him
had a
rest.
solid rest, and he can rest again. So was that wake him up or leave him asleep? I wasn't sure what you said.
Did anyone bring food?
I'm gonna guess no. We didn't
Yeah.
find food.
I don't exactly eat. So
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say that one of the medium-sized crates had some iron rations, some jerky, and some water.
water.
Forget about food sometimes. I suppose we go wake him up. I think 8 hours is a good amount for him to get something back and get him to start moving. Because we're just
After
floating
eating,
stationary,
yeah.
right?
Yep, you're just absolutely stationary, no movement whatsoever.
Okay, so he's in
Yeah.
he's in the storage hole.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, we'll wake him up.
Tice, they wake you up.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit better. All my magic has potential has returned.
Awesome. Can you get us moving? And I'll try to give him the information that I kind of somewhat figured out to kind of get us started in the right direction.
It's a bit of an odd feeling going from being a boat to not being a boat anymore. Fortunately, you had time to rest it off, and you're feeling yourself a bit on your legs.
You
But it
cut
is-
out after saying not being a boat.
Fortunately, you're feeling like yourself again after being on your legs. But the rest helps. But when you look over the side of the boat, you guys are far enough above the planet that it actually looks like a planet.
I see we've gone this far. It's weird being a boat.
You're starting to see the night side of the planet as the sun pulls away towards the other side. While it's setting and soon you won't be able to see the sun anymore, you can make out quite clearly the light reflecting along the tethers that tie it to the north and south ends of the sky. By your estimation, you have not gone even close to far enough to pass where the tethers swing the sun by. But beyond that, there are the stars. Each a dot of light chiseled onto the black of the sky.
Exactly which. I'm guessing we have a rough estimation of which way to go. I guess it's time for
Troy-
maybe a.
Troy read the map a lot.
As Troy points to a collection of 3 stars, he says, in between those, that's the best of the information you got.
Yeah, and I'll happily offer the map to anybody else that wants to try to read this thing.
Okay, I guess I'll become the boat again.
I say, is your sun tied to the sky? God, I hate the Prime. Nothing makes any sense.
I go to say something, and then just stop and just kind of stare. It seems pointless.
Tice, as you pull the hood down over your head again, and you become the boat, you do feel a little more used to this now. It seems a little more natural. You have your energy back, but you're certainly not at full strength. You are a bit tired, just not as tired as you were. Of course, as soon as you take control, the rest of the party notices the brooms stop glowing, and the device spins down from behind the throne. And you're back in control of the boat. Where would you like to go?
Towards the center of where those 3 stars are connected.
While you can feel the space around you, you cannot see the stars.
I guess I'll ask them to tell me exactly which part of the boat is closest towards those stars are, and I'll change the direction of the boat towards the part of the boat is, and I'll head that way.
Who will relay to him information about whether or not he's pointed the right way?
I mean, I guess I'm the one with the info, so I need to go outside and yell down, I guess, for this.
Yeah, he's propped the door open or something. Just shouting back into the room.
Yeah. Just ask someone to hold. Can someone hold the door open? I'm gonna go up and try to point.
After a bit of time, sort of shouting things, the sun ultimately sets, but you still kind of see the outline glow of the planet below from what's like, at this point, like a sunset in every direction. And the planet, as your boat tilts into position, aiming, seems less like a planet you've taken off from and more like just a ball that happens to be behind you. And you start moving forward, but you do feel like you're moving slowly. Do you want to put a little bit of magic into it?
I do.
All right, you can tax your potential by 1, or your stamina by 5, or your endurance by 5 if you want.
Next, I got quite a bit of endurance left still. I'm going to take 5 off of that.
Okay, and so you put a little bit of energy in. The energy gets sucked up into the hat and then through the cord, runs down along the wires. Suddenly, the boat of its own volition is raising the sails. The sails are magnificent flying carpets, all of which begin pulling forward. And with a great surge of energy, the boat heaves forward. People who are not tied down kind of get pulled to the ground a little bit. Nobody falls off the boat, fortunately, but the rush of acceleration is quite significant. The stars visibly start getting bigger.
Holy shit. Is everyone okay?
It starts to to sort of calm down for a moment, but Troy, you notice that you guys are a little too far to the right, and you're going to miss.
I mean, I can relay that information. Or are we being like jarred and I can't actually?
Yeah, you can now. You've steadied yourself. You've gotten used to the speed.
Okay, so I shout the difference.
So this is going to be sort of a collaborative role. You guys are going to need to make sailing checks with whatever aptitude you think you can use. Narrate to me how you're doing this to help him steer this thing while it's moving at Mach 20.
Sorry, I missed that last part. So
This is a collaborative role to see who can help Tice orient the boat correctly. It's sailing plus whatever aptitude you think is appropriate to your narration. So narrate how you're going to help, and then make your roll. And collaboratively, you guys need to get 5 successes together.
I mean, I'm already shouting or giving him the directions. I don't even know what that would apply to.
I mean, it could just be perception, your ability to recognize when you're too far to one side or too far to the other.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like if I'm just looking and I'm just trying to, like I'm shouting whenever, like too far right, too far left, and I'll just be giving constant updates. So I guess I'm just looking and paying attention. So I can roll perception.
Yep. Did anyone else want to do anything?
It's one from me.
I'm going to adjust the sail to the best of my ability. I'm not an expert sailor, but I am an engineer. And so while I don't fully understand what's pushing these sails or how it works or how a ship is flying in space at all, really, I can make some estimates about basically moving the rigging around to try to get us kind of drifting in the right direction.
As an engineer, your best estimation is that this ship has been juiced up with other magical artifacts to give it abilities that a normal spelljammer wouldn't have stock off the shelf.
That is true. Okay, so as an engineer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the silver threads that are attached to the brooms and ropes and try to help steer. Like I'm on a dog sled.
Awesome. This sounds to me kind of like agility.
Okay. Agility and engineering, or just agility?
Well, it would be agility plus sailing, but you made
right.
a very good argument for engineering, so I'll allow it.
Okay. Yeah, I got one.
Hammond, what would you like to do?
By my count, we need 3 successes from the monkey.
Do you mean Winston?
I'm sorry, Winston, yeah. I forgot which Overwatch character you named yourself after.
Close enough. I wanted to go help him with the the rigging.
All right. You are a monkey. You're a gorilla, able to climb on rigging.
Yeah, exactly.
Up at the top of the
I-
rigging, there's a crow's nest.
I would like to go up there. Definitely.
Up here, there is a spyglass mounted on a long
You cut
rod.
out.
There's a spyglass up in the crow's nest mounted on a long rod.
Oh, I'm gonna look through that.
All right. Tice, Tice went to the bathroom. Okay, you are looking through it.
He's back.
You get sort of a zoomed in. He's back. Cool. Tice, you can feel suddenly a change in the ship. Somebody has grabbed hold of the spyglass in the crow's nest. You can sense with great precision the direction that it's pointed.
I am in the wrong place.
Okay, so someone's using a spyglass to point it to somewhere.
Somebody's using the
Yeah,
spyglass up in
I
the
just
crow's
got
nest.
up there.
I guess I move towards wherever they're pointing at.
All right, Gorilla, it's up to you. You've got to point this at the correct star. Do you remember what stars you're pointing it at? Scholarship plus cunning. Or perception.
I feel like he could also be looking at me, giving the instruction. So if you want to
Okay.
argue the perception, right?
Yep.
So I'm looking at Troy.
Whatever you want to do. What's your best?
Well, I don't actually know. I don't have one for my gorilla. This is based on whatever Dave wants to give me.
Oh, right. Yeah, make a character sheet.
Yeah.
All
Would
right,
you
yeah,
have? What
I
is your
do
character?
have one, but the one that I'm using is the one I'm using for the spirit.
Yeah, just make another. Make a duplicate and put gorilla-like stats on it. Something that makes sense.
You just need quick stats. A good way is just pick 3 things that you're good at and give them numbers. Like climbing could easily be one. Monkeying around.
Most likely he's going to have 1 dice or 2 dice to roll. So we're going to be short.
It's okay.
I'd say you'd probably have a perception of like 3, right? Maybe 2, 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 is reasonable.
Okay, so just go ahead and roll 3 dice.
All right.
Should just use a Alacrity and take my turn again.
You are allowed.
Don't want to. It's very expensive.
You guys need 3 more successes.
How do I do that in the Discord?
In the session section, type \r space D3.
What is it that you're doing specifically?
I got 0.
He's pointing the spyglass with its little crosshairs in the direction he thinks are the 3 stars you're supposed to go to. And Tice has said that he is going to follow his instructions exactly and point the ship exactly where he's pointed.
I'm gonna go ahead and burn a faction to give him a threshold bonus.
I mean, that's still.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know that.
wow. Well, he rolled 2 5s and a 4, so a threshold bonus turns that into 2 successes.
That's nice.
And that's why it's nice to have a mathematician on board. Mathemagics. Okay, that is 4 successes. It's Tice, you know what direction you want to be pushing the ship in. Now it's just a matter of pushing it in that direction correctly. It's all on you. You only need 1 success. Go ahead and make that sailing plus focus. And if you don't make it, then maybe you end up heading towards a star instead of the point you're trying to go to, which is in between the 3 stars. That's no biggie, right? Crashing into a star? It's not a problem. It's just a bright point of light.
Please
How
don't
much-
crash us into a star.
How many dice do you have, Tice? Oh, it's headset dice. If he doesn't have... If he doesn't have more than 1 dice, I can burn a lot of tax and go up to that spike. But if he has a couple dice, maybe it's worth it.
He has 1 die.
Does he have 1 die?
I looked back at his previous roll from the last time I had him roll.
Okay. Well, we're waiting for him anyway. I'm just gonna do it. And burn all 15 of my endurance.
All right, you used Alacrity. What are you going to do with it?
I mean, I can just give the instructions again, but that seems useless. Now that I assume I could see the monkey grab a spyglass,
Yes.
and that seems like a thing that's more important than me shouting. Is it possible for me to get up to that and use it,
Yeah.
like, is it super high up, or?
You've triggered Alacrity, so yeah, you can scramble up the ropes.
Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna scramble up there and grab the spyglass from the monkey and attempt to do the same thing I did before, just based on perception.
Okay, make your roll. Perfect. There you go.
All right. This is the most expensive skill check ever.
You stole it from me?
He leapt up to the top, and as you were getting mathematical instructions from the mathematician to make adjustments, he comes over and just tilts with his finger, just tilts the spyglass a little to the left, and yeah. And you guys rocket off. At the speeds you're going, you sail way past the boundary that the sun spins around, and you're now heading towards the stars. The stars are getting bigger. No longer are they points of light, but they're disks of light in the sky. Perfectly circular windows into places of light. They're even starting to flicker with an internal fire, as though you can see the fires that burn behind the windows of the star. And the 3 stars spread apart, growing ever bigger, but also their disks begin to flatten as you approach the edge of the sky. Exhausted from his exertions, the ship starts to slow down, but you can now see quite clearly that there is a crack in the edge of the sky. The sky itself is a slick black material. Looks like some kind of like black crystal extending in all directions. The circular disks, now tilted sideways, so they look kind of flat, of the nearby stars, have bursts of flame erupting out of them at regular intervals. They're huge. The stars are the size of cities. Gigantic in the terms of what you're familiar with. Okay. But from the little light that is reflecting about, you do see that there is a crack in the blackness of space through which some kind of shimmering, it's dark, but still rainbowy in color, gaseous material is pouring out of the crack into your world from whatever lies beyond the sky. Large gulfs of it are billowing towards the stars. And, yeah. Ed, your character may recall that the scholar specifically said that she identified this location because periodically the light from these stars stretches out to reach this point in space and then returns. From this, you can infer that whatever this rainbowy looking substance is, this gas that's leaking into the world, it is probably flammable.
Well, that's good to know.
So what do you see out there?
Your world is connected by ropes inside of a giant sphere floating inside of a giant ocean of flammable gas.
As one does.
We should just go back to the Grey Waste where things make sense.
The Grey Waste is much less confusing than this,
I agree.
assuming.
I know,
You were
right?
there.
The Prime is a very, very confusing place.
And this stuff has been above your character's head their entire life.
I mean, there's been a lot of things above my character's head for his entire life.
Yes, but in this case, literally. Like, if every time you looked up, you were looking at this just from far away.
So we're headed toward this opening, right?
Yes, in fact, you're almost there. The speed boost has slowed down now, but you still have a lot of momentum, and
You
you're heading
cut
towards
out
the
after
opening.
speed boost.
Your speed boost is worn down now, but you still have a lot of momentum.
I mean, I'm just asking everybody, should we stop?
I mean, as long as we have nothing flammable, I don't see any reason that we couldn't go out there. Yeah, through the crack or whatever. What is it that we're looking for here specifically?
You're looking for the location. You're looking to get the exact mathematical location that a magical stone fell through that killed a god.
The gas is leaking in. Okay, so it cracked the sphere, I guess.
So something was either shot into or out of.
The crack is very big.
It's big enough you could even fly the ship through it.
I think if we could get to the other side of this crack and take a look at it from the other side, we could, assuming that what we're looking for is the thing that caused the crack, we might be able to take a look at the. It might be easier to see on the outside where the bright, scintillating rainbow gas is. Just don't light any fires, I guess.
And
Oh,
I
it's
need
not.
you, Ed, I need you to make what I can only describe as a faction check.
Sure.
Is it just gas? It's not like flame? I think I misheard earlier.
Okay. Ed, by your mathematical calculations, it will probably take between 2 to 3 years for the gas to reach the nearest star and ignite. So it should be safe for you guys to enter as long as you don't yourselves ignite the gas.
Oh, that's good.
Good to know.
Do I think I can make a good estimate from this side, or would it make more sense to see the entry point? Exit wounds can be a bit complicated for trajectories.
Yes, they can. It's much more likely that the entry wound will be less fragmented and will have a clearer indication of direction and momentum. In fact, really what you want to see is you want to see the inside of the hole.
Okay, let's do that. We seem to be able to move pretty quick when we want to, and there's no fear of falling, I don't think. I don't know how this stuff works. You're the primes. You tell me. You don't fall in space, right? Or you do? Or you're always falling? Or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're mostly holding position as far as I.
Yeah, just tell me exactly where to. Just point the glass where you want me to go, and I'll figure a way there.
Oh, by the way, all of you noticed that the little glow sticks you had tied to yourselves, they're no longer glowing.
What were they glowing a color?
No, they're just glowing like a soft white light.
I assume this means we won't fall anymore.
Yeah, it might be a gravity detector. That would be important when you're under artificial or magical gravity and have no natural way to let your inner ear figure out which way is down. All right, so Tice, you slowly start to take the Spelljammer into the swirling rainbow mist. The gas bubbles out and surrounds the ship, but does not leak into the ship entirely. Little tendrils of it seem to like creep past some kind of outer barrier around the ship, but nothing significant. The light from the nearby stars, however, is becoming dimmed as you enter the hole. You will need a source of light as your glow sticks are now out.
Is the gas around us? It's luminescent, right?
It's slightly luminescent, yeah. But inside the cabin, it's not really reaching. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fair. I'll go get the. I'll go check out that lantern. That weird lantern.
the lantern is engineered to prevent gas from getting into it to affect the spark of the light. It's basically an airtight lantern.
Interesting. I'll figure out how that works, I guess, and get that lit up. And I'm gonna actually. I'll leave that to the gorilla. The gorilla should be able to handle that. I'll go upstairs. And the other prime. I'm gonna go upstairs and just start taking measurements.
Cool. Actually, how the lantern works is pretty simple. There's a tiny little portal to the elemental plane of air that just leaks through like the barest trickle of oxygen on the inside, and then the rest of it's just normal rubber sealant and gaskets.
I look at it. I'm like, thieves.
I can go up there and do that.
All right, you're looking out for the crow's nest? Is that what you said?
I said I'm gonna go do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
but what is that?
I'm gonna
The
go.
lantern.
You're going to go?
Sorry,
Hello, Tess?
I just heard the last part because I was away for a second.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, no, I was gonna get you to light the lantern. I guess going up the crow's nest would be useful. Would it be useful to take the lantern up to the crow's nest? Would that help with things, or is it just mainly I need a good view of the hole?
I assume you need the light.
You guys also have environment suits and a plank. Tice, the good news for you is that you don't need light at all. You can feel the hole in your mind. You know its shape, its dimensions. You know how close it is to your ship. The ship will fit through it, but you just have to go really slow because you don't want to bump up against the sides and damage the ship.
Okay, so we don't need to assist anymore. So we can get down.
Yeah, he's got the steering under control. Right now, the question is, can you get the readings and measurements that you need to figure out the final resting place of the magic rock that killed a god?
Okay. So I'm not sure how we get these. If I need to put on a suit and do anything, I can.
There are two suits.
Is the hole enormously big or just merely big?
It's just big. It's not world-shattering big, but it's bigger than the boat you're in, barely. It definitely looks bigger on the side you're on because the Flojitsin is making it look kind of huge with its having spilled out all over the place. But as the boat kind of goes into it, you see that the entry wound is a smaller wound, but still big enough for the ship to pass through.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to. I'm going to need relatively accurate measurements of the diameter and of the angle of the sides of the.
Available to you is a plank, lots of rope, an environment suit so that you can breathe outside of the air bubble,
Also sticks.
Yep, sticks that
Yeah.
let you know whether or not you're in a gravity field.
And additional light sticks. Right, we found other things like the plank.
Oh, and there's the lantern. Yeah, you guys haven't put the plank back out yet since. But you can try that if you want to.
How is the lantern? Can I adjust the lantern to be more like a flashlight?
Yes. It has
Okay.
a series of concentric lenses that can be adjusted, all of which are sealed by rubber gaskets.
Okay, so I'm going to shine it on the inside of the hole, and I'm going to shine it around the hole and take measurements of the how the circle deforms into an oval as it hits the wall, so I get an idea of what the sort of internal curvature of the place looks like. If there's a sextant or something on board, or something I can use to make relatively accurate degree measurements, that would be useful.
You can. It will take you quite some time. The structure of the crystal sphere that encompasses their world is a crystal. And so when impacted, it broke unevenly with different shapes and fractures. When impacted, it broke unevenly with different shapes and fractures. It is, after all, a crystal. You are also noticing that amongst the crystal are little fragments of not crystal sphere, but tiny little purple stones. They appear to have sort of a reaction or an interaction with the crystal sphere, and that as the crystal appears to be trying to grow and naturally by some mechanism, these little stones are interrupting it.
Hmm.
It almost looks like veins from the stone are sapping energy from the crystal sphere, preventing it from healing the wound.
Interesting. We should retrieve one of these stones, I say, looking at Troy, and then looking at the environment suit, and then looking back at Troy.
Let's do it.
Fortunately, you guys also did have communication through the magic book about the stones that were found in the heart of the dead god.
Oh, thank you. I didn't want to meta that.
So you don't need to meta that. You know that these stones can be bad if they touch human skin.
Got it, but there's a hazmat suit. So I'm going to put on a hazmat suit because I wanted to put it on the entire time anyway. Because it just sounds cool. And you said there's plenty of rope?
Yeah, I mean, you guys untitled those boxes to check them out, so you've got a shitload of rope.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
The boxes are just kind of floating willy-nilly down there right now, but you've got a shitload of rope.
And we also have, like, a crane thing.
Yes, you do.
Somehow multi-purpose.
With a hand-cranked winch to pull things in.
Or a person.
I mean, technically, we have a hold full of flying carpets and witches' brooms. I mean, but I don't know how essential they are for the ship working.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to move any of that stuff.
The brooms only seemed to activate when the emergency backup turned on to keep you guys from falling, and the flying carpets only seemed to activate when the what we're going to call the nitrous was turned on. The turbo boost was turned on. So either of those systems could be dismantled to acquire additional materials if you needed.
I know what you're getting at, but I don't know how to operate a broom in any other capacity than sweeping. That's if I even know that. I don't even know if we had brooms underground. I honestly
It's
don't think
because
we would.
the broom is for going at hyperspeed.
No. The flying carpets are for hyperspeed.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Brooms are for stabilizing a point, so at least do something. Okay, so we have gravity on the ship. I don't know how to get off the ship necessarily. If I recall the distance that I saw the paint on the plank, do I know about how far that was? It pretty far?
It was about 5 feet under the main deck.
Okay.
So if you send out the plank, you're going to be about 5 feet above that plane. Do you want to send out the plank and see what happens?
Yeah, let's do it.
You can see visibly that there is some kind of bubble of air that your ship is maintaining. And outside of it, the swirling, glowy, dark rainbow of the Phlogiton. As the plank passes that bubble, the white paint turns red, and there's like a series of visible red sparks that are coming out of the border between the white and red. These sparks are creating a little bit of light, which would make it easy to see them at a distance. You do recall that it was blue when you were down inside of a breathable atmosphere, but out here it is red. Actually, it was white all the way when you were breathable atmosphere. It was blue when there was breathable atmosphere inside and space outside, and now that there's Phlogiton outside, it's red. That's the color coding. Forgot about that. White is air, blue is space, red is Phlogiton.
Okay. From the plank edge, so like from where it basically is where it's red, how much further out is like the edges of this crystal?
Very close. So like the plank only has to extend maybe like 5 feet out in order to pierce the sort of air bubble, and another 5 feet further, and it's bumping up against the wall. Tice is very gently keeping you guys right in between. He can go the rest of the way out if you need him to.
Well, we wanted to collect the stone, right? So I can rope up and just, I guess, head out on the plank.
Yep.
And then maybe request that the monkey holds on to the rope or tie it off to the ship.
I can do that.
Ed, as you do your focus light measurements, I'd like you to make your faction check again. Hidden difficulty, cumulative tests.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, Troy. So as you step across the threshold in your nice snug environment suit, and you go from the white area to the red area, the gravity is lost, and you just float outward and slightly upward as your foot was still against the plank as you pushed out. It's not long before you bump against the wall itself. Being unready for bumping against the wall, you probably push away and start floating back towards the ship. And upon entering the bubble, gravity takes hold of you again and pulls you back down to the plank. It's a slightly embarrassing experience, but a good learning one.
I assume I'm too confused to actually feel embarrassed.
Fair
Because
enough.
this sort of thing has never happened to me before, except for in the storage hold.
But the lack of any imminent danger means you have plenty of time to experiment and learn how to maneuver. And the rope you have tethered means that they can always pull you back in if you screw up too badly. Eventually, over time, you end up grabbing one of the stones and you bring it back. Ed, you've had plenty of time while he was screwing around to attempt another roll.
Okay.
Piece by piece, you measure the shape of reality. But also the shape of this hole. and you are starting to get a sense of the direction that it came through. You're also getting a sense of the velocity. And from what you can tell, this crystal sphere did not slow it down, as it does not show any signs of change of velocity as it traveled through. All indications are that the crystal itself took every piece of stress, and that none of the stress pushed back or caused any amount of friction to the stone.
Well, that's disturbing.
Even a rock thrown through a waterfall shows some amount of friction, and there is no indication that that occurred here.
No.
Not even when moving through what is easily 100 feet of solid crystal. It's a dark black obsidian-looking crystal, maybe onyx, but not as chippy, not as flaky. It grows in large, thick, robust pieces. Broadly speaking, you think its structure would have been hexagonal if it had been allowed to grow evenly, but it seems to have grown in from multiple directions and then been broken. And so, yeah, it's a very strange and craggly shape. Troy, now that you're on board the ship, what would you like to do with the stone?
I am aware that I shouldn't touch it, so there's a lot of boxes.
There are. You've taken a lot of things out of boxes.
Yeah, so let's put some stuff back in boxes. I think I just want to put it in a box for now. And I'll leave it for Tal to investigate. Were there tons of stones out there? Was it?
Yeah. Not tons, though, but more than you think you could pick up in, like, a day. But maybe if you spent, like, a couple days out here, and you've got some rations, so you could do that.
I mean, if we're not doing anything else, I'll basically pull a box out and put it in the box. And if no one's doing anything, I've got a hang of it now. I'll just kind of go try and start collecting them while we're.
There may be a long-term consequence to think about in this regard, though, as these stones are preventing the crystal sphere from sealing up. As long as these stones remain in place, you could actually leave this crystal sphere and explore outside. But if all of them are collected, eventually the crystal will heal and close the sky again.
Yeah, so my objective was to take a few and see how it responds, and then leave enough so that it doesn't cause us a problem.
Okay.
Like if I would notice that I noticed that the crystal is not healing, but I just want to take a couple, and then when the crystal, if it looks like it's still not healing, I'll kind of like keep an eye on that as I'm doing it, and if it looks like something's happening, I'll put it back.
Nothing is happening at a speed that you can detect.
Oh, okay, then I'll collect a few, but not anywhere near enough to do that. And then based on if anybody wants to make a decision and we should be collecting these to like close it up, then we could do that. But I'll just collect a few in the meantime and fill up like one of the medium boxes with a large box with it. I don't know how big they
are. You fill up a medium box. They're little stones. They'd fit in the palm of your hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I get a few.
They are a bright red color now that you've extracted them from the rock. The purple seemed to be some reaction they were having with the crystal. And being away from the crystal, they are starting to glow a little bit of their own accord. Enough that you won't confuse them with other rocks. Ed, he's doing a lot of work, so you have time to make another roll.
Yeah, no progress this time.
Okay. So you think you've got some good math on the direction of things. You're feeling like it might be time to pack up and go. Something's nagging at the back of your head that there may be more time pressure than you realize. As a being with some relationship to water, you do think frequently about waves. The ripples from when a rock enters a pond.
I do think about that a lot.
And the Phlogiton is so very much like water. It's not water, it's gas, it's steam, sort of.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to collect one of these samples, and I'll finish up my measurements, and then we're good to go.
Okay, go ahead and finish up your measurements.
Should I make another roll?
Yep.
Or
He's collecting a bunch of samples.
I'm having fun. Interface.
2 more successes?
At this point, you're really confident you know the math that you need to know in order to track this. But that idea of a water rippling out from a stone falling into it really hits your brain, and then you realize that back when you first were looking at the Phlogiton and you realized that it was heading towards a burning star, you neglected one piece of mathematical data. You were looking at the amount of time it would take for it to reach it naturally, not how long it would take to reach it if a ship interrupted its flow and sent ripples running down it.
Except he can't hear us. You cut out when you said neglected.
You neglected to measure how the Phlogiton would be affected by a ship entering it and sending ripples running through it, like a stone entering a pond.
Ah, I see. Well, we just placed a little bit of it, so. All right, so I've got the measurements. I think we might explode soon. So let's back this galleon.
I'm gonna pull that plank in.
All right, you pull in the plank. Tice, you start backing it out. Tice, how fast do you want to back out? You can go slow and easy, and you won't have any trouble. You won't bump into anything, no problem. Or you can take some risks and roll some dice. Slow and easy it is.
So right, we're gonna blow up.
So as you're slowly backing out, you start to see the sky behind you, sort of familiar. The sun is rising over the edge of the world, or swinging around it, more accurately. But the glow of the nearby star seems to be getting brighter and almost coming at you. Though clear of the Phlogiton, you're not sure how large the explosion is going to be when it hits the hole that leads into an entire infinite ocean of the stuff. So at this point, yeah, you're going to be rolling or taxing to turn on your jets. But one of the problems with the jets right now is that you're pointed back towards the hole. You've been backing out. So if you activate turbo right now, you're just going right back into the hole. Yes. What direction would you like to turn? Your options are towards the star, away from the star. You could also do like up or down. So kind of 90 degrees perpendicular to the star.
I assume we could use the spyglass and point back toward wherever you need.
He wants to go away from the star. And how far do you want to turn before you hit the juice? Do you want to go just 90 degrees, so you're just pointed away from the star? Or do you want to turn all the way so you're pointed towards the planet, away from the hole? Fire is rushing towards you. 90 degrees, all right. And yeah, you activate it. The fire is rushing towards you. The phlogiston has been flowing along the walls in pretty much all directions, kind of evenly.
Yeah, you got it again.
So you're skating along the phlogiston with fire coming up behind you. And I presume you hit the turbo so you don't get engulfed in flame. All right, yeah, go ahead and spend your either tax your magic or 5 tax to endurance or stamina, your choice. All right, guys, there's fire behind you. What would you like to do to try to outrun the fire or turn away from it? As the fire reaches the hole that you just came out of, a jet of flame shoots up into the air towards the planet. It's obviously not going to threaten the planet, but if you guys had tried to take all the time to turn 180 degrees and then go, it clearly would have roasted you. But the fire is still coming towards you, just no longer along an explosive path, and you need to get out of it. What's your plan? Turbo boosters are on. They're being powered by the flying carpets that are on the main mast. Anybody?
So we're headed away from flame.
Yeah, you're. If you can imagine, right, like this slick black inside of a giant sphere that contains the universe as you know it, consisting of one planet surrounded by a tiny sun. And along that surface is this rainbowy flammable... Did I cut out again?
Yeah.
So this black surface is the edge of the universe. And running along the surface is this thin layer of flammable gas. You guys are skirting along that gas with fire coming from behind to ignite that gas. Turbo boost has been ignited, so you're moving really fast, but the fire will catch up with you unless you can pull up somehow.
Okay, so I mean, Tice controls all the movement for this, so the most I'm aware we can do is adjusting the direction. So he's heading away from it, and we need him to start heading away from the edge.
Right, you basically need to pull up. Picture a plane flying along a field of wheat, and the wheat is on fire, and it's coming at it. The plane needs to pull up so that the fire doesn't reach it. Except instead of ground, it's a black crystal sphere. Instead of wheat, it's this rainbowy, flammable gas. Now he's turned on the turbo boost, which means As far as this ship is concerned, it's going to head in a perfectly straight line at an incredibly fast speed. Because the surface you're moving along is the inside of a sphere, that means you are constantly moving slightly towards the ground.
Got it. I guess I'm just going back up to the crow's nest then and pointing this spyglass toward where I.
Tice, you can see him pointing the spyglass upwards, but you have no idea what to do about it, as your only current direction is forward.
Cut out on Tice.
Tice, you can see he's pointing the spyglass upwards, but there's nothing you can do about it, because currently your only direction of movement is forward.
All right. Well, I guess we can pull on the turbo reins or something, or I don't know anything about boats, but I know that the magic carpets or whatever are pushing us in the direction, right? They're turbos. Yeah, I have no idea how any of this works. As an engineer, I say this is not going to work because I know that this is not going to work because I'm an engineer. However, I am in a ship flying through space, and I go get a bunch of rope and start basically trying to lash the flying carpets to the top of the main mast to just get them to pull not quite forward. I'm attempting to have us pull up by our bootstraps or something. I don't even know. It doesn't need to make any sense.
That's an excellent plan. So yeah, that's your engineering, and anybody who can help you with the ropes can add to your dice.
We have a gorilla, and someone's already in the crow's nest, so I can pass.
I mean, I'm already up there, so I can easily just start tying things off if I need to.
All right, so Troy's giving a helper die, I guess, or you want him to roll for the help?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a athletics, maybe? I don't know. You're not really doing anything. You're just standing there trying to catch something, right? Yeah, that's a helper die.
All right, so it's an extra die. I'll throw the ropes up. Do we have help from our gorilla? Could probably carry ropes.
Jake, are you here?
No worries, Tice.
I believe the gorilla fell asleep. As
That's
gorillas
fair.
do.
I'm going to tax my faction again. Drop my threshold. And I'll go ahead and tax my perception to trigger omniscience.
Oh, you're doing some of that threshold black magic fuckery, right? This what puts your threshold at 4?
3.
Jeez. All right, yeah, you rig the carpets to all tilt upward, and the ship pulls up and begins heading back into the middle of the sphere where the planet is.
I am now exhausted.
I think a lot of the party is pretty taxed out right now.
Yeah, this is a pretty rough ship ride.
But the danger is past, and you managed to do it without disrupting any of your safety mechanisms. So congratulations on that. I thought we were going to have some broom fun when the fire tore the ship apart. Right on.
All right, I should get some sleep soon.
Yeah, this is basically a success here. You guys have gotten that. You guys can all take a nice long rest too now that you're safely out in space. So yeah, go ahead and everybody recover 4 dice, and go ahead and do closing ceremony.
Sure. I'll give 1 to Echelon for his excellent mathematical skills, because we needed those mathematics. I'll give 1 to the Monkey Man for pulling the ropes of this endeavor, and I want to give 1 to Kai for his amazing first trip out out into space and then bouncing back in. That's everyone.
I'll give Tice one for flying a ship for the first time. He took to it relatively well. He was the only one capable of doing it, but he did it. I'll give 1 to Troy for eagerly putting on a spacesuit and jumping out to collect rock that is known to destroy things. And also for just being a good crow's nest guy. And then I'll give 1 to Jake for being our gorilla friend and for doing the necessary climbing work, but mostly for basically just getting into everything, just digging through boxes and finding stuff and poking at things.
All right. 1 to Ed for I can just turn into steam, so I'll be fine. That was fantastic. Tice for being our magic user, but also I think good call on constantly pushing through and not landing us somewhere where we probably were gonna have to deal with some horrible shit, and trying to rest. I think that was a good call. And then Jake for just straight up leaving me in the storage hold, and I stranded as we took off. It was actually pretty good. Alrighty, and I think he is not present at the moment.
That's fine. It has been a long night.
Great.
Nice 2.5-hour session there. All right. How'd you like your first adventure into the space of Planescape?
I am so confused. There are so strings or ropes, and we're in a crystal ball. That's how thick did you say? Like 100 feet thick?
Yep.
So we're like a snow globe.
Crystal spheres don't crack, typically. And by typically I mean like ever. So.
Yeah, unless there's someone like shoots it.
Yeah, but like never. Like they're indestructible. There's only one event in the entire Spelljammer mythos that cracked a crystal sphere that I'm aware of. So this rock is serious business.
It starts to make sense why all the Beatazu and Tanari are about to fight a war over it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we got a box full of fragments of it.
Yeah, I almost had a character technically almost potentially die from it.
And those are just fragments that came off of it as it crashed. You now know the final resting, or you have the math to figure out the final resting location of the full-sized super rock. And so that's what we'll get into next week. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. Have a wonderful night.